Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this doesn't work without you guys. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. Man, ooh, it is Monday, and you know what that means. That means Monday night we got our live stream at 9 o'clock Eastern. Tune in because we're talking all things Dallas Cowboys. We got a lot to talk about. Dak Prescott, wow. Unbelievable. The fact that his brother's birthday, who he lost just during the draft, and Mother's Day on the same day. You talk about what must be a tragic, sad day in his household. Thoughts and prayers with all the Prescott family. That's just rough. And thoughts and prayers to everybody who, you think about Mother's Day and you're happy because you got your mother, but you don't think about others that don't. So thoughts and prayers to everybody who's missing their mother. So this morning, Miss Jackie sent me, usual good morning message and things, along with some more of the good old hate from people out there. Joe Theismann, who, if you were around on that Monday Night Football game when Joe Theismann's leg snapped under Lawrence Taylor, you almost wonder if it's something with the Washington Redskins. Because Alex Smith's leg, it's very similar. When you saw that thing happen, you were just like, ooh. I mean, immediately when it happened, before the play was even over, Lawrence Taylor was like, get the meat grinder out here, man. This guy is messed up. It was tragic. And Joe Theismann has always had a big voice, a big voice, to the point where you just say, shut up, Joe. So, Joe Theismann's thing to Dak Prescott is, you're not a top 5 quarterback. Take the money. Okay, Joe Theismann does not understand why Dak Prescott hasn't signed a long-term deal with the Dallas Cowboys. Let me go ahead and get it here. The Dak Prescott situation confuses me a bit. Theismann told JR Sports Brief, if I was advising Dak Prescott, I would say take the money. The aggravation to go through, the unknowns if this happens to go through a year, free agency, yes. They're committed a lot of money to Amari Cooper. Yes, they committed a lot of money to Zeke, but that's a lot of money. What are you looking for? A couple more million? You're never going to see the last year of the contract anyway. Are you sure about that? Okay. So, what really concerns yourself with is the guarantee that you're going to get, he said. So, if he signs a 5-year contract at $34 million, that's $170 million, probably 115, 120 of it is guaranteed. What are you, crazy? Are you really nuts? Has somebody got in your head and said it's not worth the risking of disrupting a football team? All the questions, all the pressure. Prescott, who turns 27 in July, was a 4th-round pick in 2016, has helped the Cowboys to 2 NFC East titles and 1 or 2 in the playoffs. Blah, 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 blah. You're not a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League, Theismann said of Prescott. You're a good football player. You have the potential to be better, but what have you done? To this, I will say, I will ask you, in your mind, is Kirk Cousins a top 5 quarterback? That's what I want to know. Because Kirk Cousins got the first fully guaranteed contract. First fully guaranteed contract. It was the highest paid. And you couldn't look at him with his basically right around 500 career record and saying he was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And dare I say, after 2 years of that said contract, he ended up getting another 2 years put on it at 33, which still makes him a top 5 paid quarterback in the NFL. So as I go through here, this is actually kind of cool, because this was a tweet that was out yesterday. Dak Prescott, the most underappreciated quarterback in the NFL. He was 135th pick in the 2016 draft. 4th-round draft pick. Wasn't expected to be anything more than just a backup. 3rd string backup at that. What did he do? Offensive Rookie of the Year. 2-time Pro Bowler. 15,778 yards in 4 seasons. If you do the math, that's almost averaging 4,000 yards a season. Just saying. 97 TDs with 36 interceptions. That's 3-1 almost, touchdowns to interceptions. A 97 QBR. 1,221 yards rushing, 21 TDs, and the second most touchdowns in the NFL over the last, second most wins in the NFL over the last 4 years. 4 years that he started. And by the way, let me add to this too, that no quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys has made it through 3 seasons without missing a game. He's made it now through 4. So he's got durability. That's what we've done with Dak Prescott thus far. Not bad. By the way, let me pull up another one here. Trey Wingo. Okay? This is funny because I was having a conversation with Sal yesterday by text. And a lot of times I'll say things and then later on it's like people start pushing this out there. And I've said this one many times before and people say you're crazy. Because when I saw an article from last season, they were talking about Carson Wentz, 97 touchdown passes in his career. That is 9th overall to begin a career. 97 touchdowns. And I was like, wow, they are pounding this guy on the back because he is 9th all time in touchdown passes to start a career. But guess what's interesting about this? Dak Prescott's got the same number. So Carson Wentz and Dak are both tied at 97 touchdowns to start their career. And I know you Eagle fans, well, Dak took 8 more games to do that. True. But don't blame the man for staying upright. Don't hold that against him. If Carson Wentz had stayed upright, then he probably would have been higher on the list. We can assume that with 8 more games, and he probably should be. He definitely would be. But part of the problem is you got to be upright to go ahead and actually count. You can't go on hypotheticals and say he should have, but he didn't. But be that as it may. Because I talked about this, because you can also take Dak Prescott's 21 touchdowns. Some people say, oh, you can't count rushing touchdowns. He's a quarterback. Why not? I don't care how you get in the end zone, by hook or crook. If you're in the end zone, it counts as 7 points. So be it I ran it in or threw it in, that's a touchdown. Which leaves him to 118 touchdowns. And I said this. And guess what? That is tied for 2nd all time for a quarterback to start a career. 2nd all time. Trey Wingo puts that here. Trey, you've been watching the Jobu Sports Report? 118 combined passing and rushing TDs, tied for 2nd most by a player in his first 4 seasons in the NFL history. 10 games with a total of a QBR of 90 or better since entering the NFL. Since as he entered the NFL, which is the most in the NFL. Let me say that again. He has 10 games with a total QBR of 90 or better, which leads the NFL over the last 4 years. 15,778 yards career passing yards, 3rd most by a player in his first 4 seasons. Let me say that again. When you go through the history, all the Hall of Famers, you look at Tom Brady, you look at Russell Wilson, you look at, all of these guys that are out there, all of the great quarterbacks out there, okay? We are or have been a running offense. Yet somehow, some way, our quarterback is 3rd on the all-time list of passing yards to start a career. That's more than Roger, that's more than Troy, that's more than Romo. So then I go back to the original premise then. What has he done? Well, he's actually done a lot, personal stats-wise. Comparison-wise. Okay. Let's go back through here. So Dak Prescott, 15,778 yards. Carson Wentz, 14,191. Oh, that's right. He played in 8 less games. Well, okay, I'll give you that one. Same amount of touchdown passes. Okay, I'll give you that whole 8 thing. Okay. Interceptions. Dak's got 36. 36 interceptions. Carson Wentz has 35, one less than Dak. Oh, but he also played 8 less games. So maybe had he played those other games, he would have had more interceptions than Dak Prescott. Is that a safe assumption? Because if you're going to assume that he would have more touchdowns, you got to assume that he'd have more interceptions as well. Gotcha. Wins. Dak Prescott, 40-24. Carson Wentz, 32-24. So Dak Prescott, wow, has 8 more wins in 8 more games. So he won every one of those. Carson Wentz in 8 less games had the same number of losses. Interesting. And Carson Wentz, I believe, this is one thing I got to give to Carson Wentz. I got to give this one to Carson Wentz. Dak's not anywhere close to this one. But Carson Wentz has had 48 fumbles. 48 fumbles in 4 years. That leads the NFL. Dak, 31 in 8 more games. So I go back to this whole thing. What has Dak Prescott done? Well, one other thing that's not put into the equation is, I remember I used to cut the grass for my great aunt, in high school. I'd come back on weekends in college and cut it. So she had basically about 6 acres of grass. It would take about 6 hours on a Cub Cadet tractor cutting all the grass and things. And my aunt Mabel, God rest her soul, she would always, after, pay me for doing the grass, she'd give me 50 cents. Here's 50 cents. You'd buy yourself a soda on the way back to school. Because her mind was stuck back in the 60s and 70s of the price of things. She didn't understand that the soda was $1. She didn't understand that. Even though my dad would go buy her groceries, she would say, here's $1 for picking up my groceries and stuff. Okay, because she was stuck in her mind mentally what things were then. But what you have to understand is, when you think of economics, inflation, that's when the cost of things go up, okay? And the NFL, on average, over the last 6-7 years, the salary cap has inflated by about $10 million a year. So that means that's about 5% inflation. So that means something, let me make sure I get my numbers right. If something cost $10 last year, then it's going to cost $10.50. Then the next year it's going to cost $11. You understand? Because the price and it's being inflated. The percentages is still the same, but the price goes up. The salary cap jumps up another $10 million this year. So when Russell Wilson signed his contract at 35, you can't value that contract in today's dollars because now the price tag's gone up. Because you can look at Troy Aikman's when Troy Aikman got paid, because this would be my aunt looking back and saying, oh my God, Troy Aikman signed a deal for $10 million. Well, when the salary cap was 32, yeah, that was a lot of money. But in today's dollars, it's not. So even when you look at Kirk Cousins' deal where it was $28 million 2 years ago, that looks like a bargain because the salary cap's gone up $20 million since then. That's why his number went from 28 to 33. So when you start saying, oh, he's going to get paid the same as Russell Wilson, well, understand, it's not really the same dollars because of the inflation of the market. But then again, that stuff just blows by most people's mind. They don't want to hear it, and I get it. But the other part of the equation you have to look at is when you sign that contract today, 2 years from now, it's going to look like chump change because of the market continuing to rise. So the bottom line is we're arguing over money that's going to be irrelevant in 2-3 years. Anyway, one last note. Check it out. They finally got in here. We have, oh my God, you would not believe it. We were up till 11:30 last night getting the orders and stuff together. I got to get some more clips, attache clips this morning, so I can get the last 2 racks out. But I ordered 144 of these. Came in 2 boxes, and the first box is completely gone, and I'm deep into the second box. So when these are gone, they're gone. But they look, oh my goodness, boy, do they look good. Hold on, let's see. Bam, that's it. The very first Jobu colored shot glass to honor our draft. So we're going to have those, and I think what I'm going to do, because I have the Spread the Mojo and the Keep Your Ass at Home, is I'll make a 4-pack, so that way you can have all 3 of the Jobu ones and get it at a discount price, so that way it'll be affordable. So that way you can go on your rack. All right, and speaking of racks, I got to go ahead and go to the dump. I got to go drop off this wood at my parents' house, throw it over the fence, and got to get some more attachments, and then I got to get back in there and get working on some more stuff in the shop. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern.